Well, we've seen the bulls really starting the week off on the front foot. They've really wrestled back control from the bears. And, while we've seen a fairly whippy session within currency markets, they're fairly flat on the day as well. I mean, it's probably cable has seen a bit of attention from clients today. We've seen some wobbles coming through in the pound. I guess there's been a few articles over the weekend about Theresa May getting fairly upset about what could be a very punchy Brexit bill, well over 100 billion euros, and she said that she's prepared to walk away from any kind of negotiation talks should it mount to that amount, and that she's made a fairly compelling case that some of the UK's previous contributions to the EU should be accounted for as well. And we have seen the pound under a bit of pressure there, because obviously the worst case scenario is that we do see Theresa May's government walking away from the Brexit negotiations and they end up getting no deal whatsoever. But that hasn't really caused too much in the way of gyration. So some very modest selling in the pound. That may play obviously into the FTSE, but we haven't seen too much in the way of people singling out our out of hours FTSE call at the moment. In fact, European markets at this stage are looking quite attractive, quite compelling, looking like they're starting on the front foot and building on those gains that we saw from Friday. Elsewhere, what we've been seeing in Asia is a complete rejection of these next missile tests that the North Koreans have done over the weekend. There's been no real moves in risk sentiment at all. Gold's really done nothing today. We're seeing dollar yen holding in fairly firm. So there's really been no major yen inflows that you would expect in this kind of times of concern about geopolitics. It really has been a strong day elsewhere. Iron ore is moving up really nicely. That's been playing into the pure plays. Some of the mining sectors in the Australia's up over 2%. Some of the pure plays doing really well there. So there's a really strong bid in mining. But then you can focus on the energy space as well. And we saw good gains coming through in US trade, and that's really extended into Asia, where we're seeing US crude up about 90 basis points at the moment. Really strong gains in Brent. So the energy sector here on the ASX is up over 2%, which is a pretty big move for our market, and that's really propelling the market up at a time when the banks are finding some support in the market as well. But that's obviously very interesting that we are seeing these gains going into the OPEC meeting on Thursday. And people are buying risk and buying those petroleum, that exposure as we go into that meeting. Whether we get that buy the rumour, sell the fact is one to be seen. Obviously, if the price rallies too much into that, there's going to be some high elevated expectations, and we could see the price roll over on a bit of disappointment when we see the fact. Elsewhere, Japan's holding in quite well. We're seeing a bit of gains coming through in the Hong Kong market. There's not really been a huge amount of data to drive. There's been some data out of Japan, but it's not really moved the yen, as you'd imagine. And really, it's a strong day. We've got US futures moving up a little bit higher as well, and it really sets us up for another tilt higher in risk. But of course, that really comes into play with Donald Trump potentially making more headlines, although he is on a world tour at the moment, so hopefully he'll try and keep his house in order at the moment.